That brings us to item number B, consideration action on extension of a variance granted under BOA 0905 dated October 15, 2009 for 2508 East Main Street. Mr. Davis, you want to give us a background on this?
Yes, ma'am. The property in question is the small rock house right at the intersection of 124 and 78 on the eastbound side of 78. Oops. Coming up. This is the survey of the property. This is Pate Road. The Simpson family lives here. The Brand Bank wrapped around this way. In October of 2009, the city gave a series of variances to this property, and they had a time limit upon them with which to operate. That time limit expired in 2012. The entire expiration process sort of slid through the cracks, I guess. The clients came back a couple of weeks ago, and they had a new tenant for the building, and we had to tell them that without the active variances they'd have to go through the entire process or make a special request to get an extension of the 2009 variances. What they have decided to do is ask for that extension, and they wish the extension to run for 12 months from, I suppose, today's date if it's approved today. During that 12-month span of time, they're going to be working with us to come up with the total package of variances that would be needed to allow this property to continue in commerce. As you know, it's in the overlay area, the corridor overlay. This is such a very small property that to apply all of the elements of the overlay district and any kind of updated construction requirements for site on this small property would be incredibly onerous. So over the next few months, we'll be working with the owners to come up with their permanent request for variances, and they'll be coming back through the planning process for CUP and variance updates. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to try and answer them.
Questions for Mr. Davis?
Mr. Davis, I understand that this is a local HVAC contractor that's going to take this building?
There's a local HVAC contractor.
Okay, and with contractors, we have trucks.
Yes, ma'am.
The trucks, from what I understand, will not be allowed to park there unless they're coming to pick up paperwork or paychecks or orders.
Our last discussions with them were, yes, that the trucks would come through and pick up their work orders and drop off their reports. The owner of the house also owns the property next door, which is a car rental agency, and he has offered 4 spaces for them to use for their trucks to park in when they come in to make these exchanges.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions for Mr. Davis? Thank you, Mr. Davis. Is the applicant here?
My name's Maxie Price. I'm here for Beth Daniel, who owns the property.
Does anybody have any questions for the applicant? Or you, well, if you'll have a seat when we have a motion, I'll ask you then. Now take public comment. Is there anyone that would like to speak for or against this proposed project? If anyone would like to speak, please come forward, state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, I will close the public comment portion of this agenda item and ask for a motion by council.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make this motion. A motion to approve the request of Tico Treasure LLC to extend the variances granted in the Board of Appeals case number BOA 09-05. The extension will be granted with the following conditions. 1, the variance extension is for 1 year from July 8th, this evening, 2013, to expire on July 8th, 2014. Number 2, This is a one-time only extension, and it will permanently expire on July 8th, 2014. Number 3, during the course of the year, the applicant will file for any permanent variances needed for the recite to remain in commerce. The approved variances will govern the property until such time as a major building permit is requested, at which point the property will have to be brought into full compliance with the codes in force at that time.
There is a motion by Councilman Kraus. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Sabag. Mr. Price, you heard the 3 conditions?
Yes.
That were read into the record. Are you in agreement with the 3 conditions? Okay. Any further discussion by council? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of the extension of the variance with the conditions as previously stated signify by raising your right hand. That's 6 in favor. All those opposed, that's 0 opposed. The extension is granted. Good luck to y'all. That now brings us to item number C, provide citizens the opportunity to submit written and oral comments on the proposed 2013 millage rate. This is required by state law, but based on the budget we've previously passed, I believe it's council's intention to reduce our millage rate from 5 mils to 4.9 mils. Does anyone like to have any public comment on this? Please come forward and state your name and address for the record if you do. See none, I'll close the public comment. Ms. Arnold, is there any written comments that we need to read into the record for this? That now brings us to new business, consideration action on a resolution setting the 2013 property tax millage rate. Whereas Georgia law and the city code of ordinances require the city to adopt a balanced budget for its operations, and whereas through public hearings, the city staff, mayor, and city council have drafted such a budget to comply with the requirements of state law, whereas the adoption of that budget required the passage of a millage rate sufficient to allow for the collection of taxes necessary to cover the cost of operating the city government according to the budget. Whereas the mayor and council find it necessary and desirable to establish certain millage rates for properties in Gwinnett County in fairness to the taxpayers of the city and in compliance with state law. Whereas the tax rate of 4.9 per $1,000 of assessed valuation for city of Snellville taxpayers in Gwinnett County is required for raising the sufficient revenues to support municipal operations and meeting the requirements of state law for establishing rates. Whereas notices required by law have been published in the legal organ of the city of Snellville, whereas the city has conducted public hearings to receive comments from citizens on the proposed budget and rates. Now therefore, the city council of the city of Snellville hereby ordains and resolves that the millage rate of 4.9 per $1,000 of assessed valuation for city of Snellville taxpayers in Gwinnett County enumerated above is approved and ordained for fiscal year 2013 through 2014. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
Motion to approve resolution to establish 4.9 as the millage rate for 2013, 2014.
I see there is a motion by Councilman Emmanuel. I see Councilman Sabag's mic on. Do you second that motion?
Yes, ma'am, I second that motion, 4.9 mils for the FY budget year 14.
Any further discussion of council?
Yeah, if I may, Mayor, for those who have been following the millage rate and for those who have been following the tax digest, this is another reduction in our current city millage rate. And what that does is simply reduces the income that the city takes. In a nutshell, this projected revenue for the 2014 is roughly about $3,180,000 that the city would receive. The aggregate sum of all the reductions ended up to be approximately 1 mil, and that's a huge reduction. Therefore, I encourage the rest of the council to vote for this. That would give us yet another tax break.
Additional comments from council?
Yes, thank you. This is the third year in a row now that we have reduced the millage rate. If you remember, 4 years ago, unfortunately, we had to raise the millage rate. And at that time, I was a proponent of raising them, and I mentioned at that point that if we were allowed to do the things that we needed to do in that fiscal year, that we would subsequent years be able to reduce it. And this, for 3 years now, we have done that. I wish the reduction this year could have been a little bit more substantial. The way we do that is by increasing our commercial digest and getting our property values back. We're working diligently on that. And as that improves, I think we'll be able to see further reductions. But right now, this is reduction, which will bring a total of 1 mil over the past 3 years. Will keep us open and running, and will keep us working towards improving both our commercial and our residential digest.
Additional comments?
Yes, please. Kind of to echo both my colleagues' remarks here to a degree, but I think our citizens of Snellville, for the value they receive for that amount of tax and the fact that we can actually reduce a portion of that, I think is what the citizens deserve and what they hope for, is that they get a good value for the money that they spend. And I think in our recent poll that we did, a survey, I believe, that the citizenry believes that they get value for the dollars they spend. And if they're spending a little less and still maintaining the level of service and the value that they're getting, I think that's a wonderful achievement. It's something we should always strive for. So I'm certainly in support of a reduction. I too wish it could have been a little bit more, but you know, to maintain the level that we want to continue to maintain, we got to have something to work with. So thanks.
These kind of things don't just happen. There was a lot of hard work. I want to commend Butch Sanders for his work on looking at the budget, cutting things down that could be cut, and keeping the money where it needs to be. And I'd like to echo as well that citizens are getting a lot of value for their tax dollars, and it's the staff that really makes all of this work and puts things in perspective so that we as a council can make the proper decision, and you guys get the best that's available for the money, and that the rate stays low and the services stay high.
Councilman Cross? It's always a good thing when you can reduce taxes. I think as a result of the SDS settlement, the citizens of Snellville will also see a reduction in their county taxes. So this, coupled with the small reduction we've done tonight, will be a good thing for our citizens. With that, I will call the question. All those in favor of the resolution setting the 2013 property tax millage rate at 4.9 mils signify by raising your right hand. That is 6 in favor. All those opposed, 0 opposed. The motion stands approved. Item number B. Do I have a motion to postpone this until our August 26th meeting?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we postpone the Lars Lawrenceville request to use the mobile stage until the August 26th meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. That's 6 in favor. All those opposed, 0 opposed. The motion stands approved. Item C, consideration action on approval to purchase 3 fully equipped 2013 Dodge Charger V6 patrol cars from Aiken Ford Chrysler Jeep. Councilman Sabag.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to allow this purchase to take place for purchasing 3 V6 patrol cars from Aiken's Ford Chrysler Jeep. The price tag on that one is, trying to get my notes out here, is roughly $22,000, $182 each. That will gives us a total of $97,345. And I'm in support of this purchase for our fine police department to be on top of the city, as we know that this is the safest city that I live in, and I appreciate all the service.
Madam Chair, I think we need to finalize those figures. I don't think 3 times 22 is 97.
I believe if you look at the memo from the chief, the final approval is for.
32,000.
Right, but that's with the add-ons is $97,345.68 from the fiscal year 2014 capital budget.
Right, the vehicle, Councilman Sabah said 22,000 is 32,000, that's what made the difference.
That's with all that.
Clarification, though, your motion is to approve $97,345.68 total.
That's my motion, to approve $97,345.68.
Is there a second?
Second?
All those in favor of the motion as stated signify by raising your right hand. That's 6 in favor. All those opposed, 0 opposed. The motion stands approved. Congratulations, Chief. That now brings us to our council report. Councilman Emanuel.